after Saturday, a lot of people pretty concerned about security here. What would you say to them to kind of ease their minds as they consider coming out here?
You know, we don't just do security on one day. So the very last day of the fair, that Monday after the last day of the fair in 2022, we started working on security for 2023. And it's a year-long process, and it's a continuous process, but it's comprehensive, it's robust. We work with our Dallas Police Department and our other public safety partners to bring the best package forward to protect our guests from the time they park the car on or off property to the time they return to their car. So we can talk some more about that.
Tell me a little bit about the safety measures currently in place, or that have been in place throughout the fair.
Oh, absolutely, and boy, it's really comprehensive. So I'll try to keep this in your. We'll find a piece for you. Okay, let's just start it when someone parks their car outside of the fairgrounds. We're watching them. We have police officers that are working an area, a boundary without the boundary that you don't even see. And then as they come through, they're crossing the street and they're going to see someone like a traffic officer or something. Then they start hitting fences. So that's that physical security side. So those gates are locked, right? There's restricted access to those gates, and then they'll come to a screening station like this at a pedestrian gate. And they're screened. And they're screened for weapons, and they're also screened for prohibited items, because we want to make this a nice, friendly, fair environment. So all the things that would take away from that, drones, signs, selfie sticks which people can get injured on, masks, costumes, things that are concerning. We do everything we can to catch these right here, in addition to the weapons. So we do all that here at this. And then you've got just a series of law enforcement professionals and retired law enforcement professionals on the grounds. You'll see them walking, you'll see them in cars, you'll see them in stands, you'll see the safety team members. We have the Dallas Fire Rescue with us, and we have private security. And there's things you won't see. So how's that?
What about, tell me a little bit about the metal detectors. You were telling me a little bit about them beforehand.
Well, they're a detector, okay? I'm not a scientist, because I can't go into the science. I just know that they are state-of-the-art, they're a proven technology, and they're in use internationally at all the iconic venues that one may think of. They're used in our national sporting events, and they're used in our national venues, music venues, and entertainment venues and such.
Awesome. So they'll go through these metal detectors, and then there's additional screening afterwards. Just like how does the process work when you're coming inside?
Well, they certainly are screened for weapons as an individual person, and then we also do bag searches.
Yeah. So I think with all that in mind, people just want to know, how would someone have gotten in with a gun that wasn't supposed to?
We still don't know.
Yeah. But have you guys changed anything since to try and make it so that this doesn't happen again?
So what we did in that, the delayed opening, one of the many things. So on my side of the house, what we did is we looked at our plan. We talked with the Dallas Police Department. We walked through the plan. We just did some double checking, made sure that the processes that we had in place are still applicable, and it's just a matter of making sure that we're executing them. So that's where we're at. Now, in terms of changes, we made some really subtle changes. We moved like 2 extra officers from one spot to another spot, and we moved a police stand about 30 feet.
And then at the front entrance, there's gates up now. Were those gates there before?
Oh, you mean the fencing?
The fences, yeah.
I think the fencing was to do 2 things there. That was to help funnel individuals. When everybody comes in off the train, there's kind of a bowl effect that fills up that area. Also, like we were talking a minute ago, and I started to turn but I'm looking here at all my customers that are coming in, our guests, and so we have guests with strollers and things. And it helps a family find their own space, and it also kind of brings the temperature down a little bit in the external environment and creates an atmosphere where we can do these searches more effectively. So we're certainly going to look at those improvements. If you want to say, what are we looking at in 24, we'll certainly be looking at ways in which we can make that environment better, so the searches aren't so noisy and they don't look so chaotic.
And then I think the next question I have is just about, once the shooting happened, inside, what is the protocol for a situation like that in terms of communicating what's going on and letting the guests know and the vendors know that there's an emergency?
So I'm a retired Dallas police officer, and if you didn't know that, and there's several of us on this property at any given time. And of course, I'm in the leadership team, and I'm listening to a special event radio that the Dallas Police Department uses. So it's a special event channel, so it's not one of their primary channels. And so the communications that are going on the grounds at on the public safety side, I'm able to hear that. So without them having to go through extra steps to communicate to me something I already know, and I'm able to share that with our team. And our team already has standards in place or procedures in place. Is probably a better way to put that, Janelle. So this is an active shooter. We pushed a button, or I'm not exactly sure who did it. I can do it on my phone. We can do it off a dashboard or an iPad. And that button was pushed, and that made an outdoor loudspeaker system alert go out that said we have an active shooter in the area, and it gave a protective action for everyone to shelter in place. And that played for a series of times, okay? And that was on the initial one, and then it was played again secondary to that as the information continued to come in. A very dynamic situation.
Yeah.
So I think I may have got a little lost in your
No.
question. I went
get,
down a rabbit hole.
You're
I
good.
apologize. So, but I wanted to let you know that we have that system in place. We do communicate. There's some procedures and steps that we go into. We automatically open up a Fair Operations Emergency Operations Center. We did that. It's got members of the leadership team goes into there. We've got cameras in there. We're able to then coalesce as a leadership group, make decisions, puts that information out very quickly, and then of course we're watching things through the camera system. So what had to happen very, very quickly was we're not letting any more patrons in. Whether it's a vehicle or a person, we had to allow for everyone exiting at once. So we had to kind of go through that. And then so we're, in a sense, we're starting to do our close down procedures, but in a very tight window.
Yeah, and I can imagine how complex that is. You know, we saw the videos, people running every which way. How do you control those situations? 'Cause
that's challenging. Let's just say we had about 40,000 people on the grounds at that one time. And when the messaging, we were asking individuals to make decisions on their own about where they are and their dynamics at that moment in time. We want them to shelter in place. So to kind of go back just a little bit, as a state fair, we did a lot of training over the off season. That's what we call it between fairs, and specifically on incident management. So the leadership team has got this, and we did tabletops to exercise that, and they responded effectively. Now, in terms of all individuals on the ground, as soon as we get the information that says it's stable, it's all clear, our guests can transit and move, we start exchanging that with our team members through an app like a WhatsApp. We're able to hit these threads and populate them with information, and then they can start communicating and guiding individuals towards exits. The last thing that the DPD did before we really had it all secure is that they did individual searches of every building on the property. Not that we were still looking for a suspect, but rather for individuals that may have hidden, that had not gotten the word that it was okay to transit. So,
what do you feel like you guys have learned from this?
well, we're still working through the lessons learned, and so that's a better question for, I don't know, a couple months from now. You know, after the fair ends, we will have an opportunity to get with our public safety partners. We'll do an after action. It may be called a hot wash, whatever, and we are going to. It's very critical. I mean, it's when you have a critical eye and you have these discussions and you talk about what we did well, where we have an areas for improvement, and then we certainly apply all those lessons learned for our next fair.
My last question, you know, for people that are considering coming down here, what would you say to them?
Well, here, I don't have to say anything. So yesterday at 2 o'clock, people were here. I'm gonna get a little emotional. I'm sorry. Because it was very traumatic on Saturday night. We know we were saddened as a fair family that we experienced that, and so many others of our guests experienced that traumatic. We are thankful that those that were directly impacted are well on their way in healing, and we know that there's many others that were indirectly impacted that still have concerns and feelings and things that happened to them that night. And then it's heartwarming at 2 o'clock yesterday. There are throngs of people eager to come into the fair, just like they are today, and to have a great experience. And that's our job, is to create this environment and a safety perspective so that they can come in, have fun, have lasting memories. So, sorry I got a little choked up.
No, you're okay. Do you want to add anything I haven't asked you? Do you feel like I'm missing something?
No, you're great.
Thank you.